I never imagined that a single evening could unravel my entire world. But that's exactly what happened. It was a Friday night, and the company was hosting a lavish gala at the city's most exclusive hotel. As a project manager at Richardson Co, I had been looking forward to this event for weeks. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a chance to let loose with colleagues and bask in the success of our latest project. My wife, Melissa, had insisted on coming along. She rarely missed an opportunity to mingle with the high society our company often entertained. The evening started innocuously enough. Melissa looked stunning in a black evening gown that hugged her curves in all the right places. Her smile was radiant, and I couldn't help but feel proud to have her by my side. We mingled with my colleagues, shared a few drinks, and laughed at the toasts made in honor of our hard work. Everything seemed perfect. But then, everything changed. I noticed Melissa was unusually absent from my side. At first, I thought she was simply catching up with some friends. But as the minutes turned into an hour, I began to worry. I scanned the room, but there was no sign of her. My heart pounded as I decided to look for her. I excused myself from a conversation and headed toward the back of the hotel, where the private lounges were located. As I approached one of the lounges, I heard hushed voices and muffled laughter. Something about the tone made me stop in my tracks. I peered through the slightly ajar door and saw them. My heart dropped. There, in the dimly lit room, was Melissa. Her hands were entwined with another man's, their faces inches apart. That man was my boss, Mr. Richardson. They were laughing softly, a sound that now felt like nails on a chalkboard. I watched in stunned silence as Mr. Richardson leaned in and kissed my wife. It wasn't a brief, innocent peck. It was a deep, passionate kiss, filled with a familiarity that spoke volumes. A wave of nausea hit me. My legs felt weak and my mind raced. How long had this been going on? How could they do this to me? The betrayal was overwhelming, a bitter mix of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. I wanted to storm in and confront them, but I was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by the shock of it all. Finally, I tore myself away and stumbled back to the ballroom, my thoughts a chaotic mess. I needed to get out of there, away from the lies and deceit. I couldn't bear to face anyone, not even Melissa. I headed straight for the exit, ignoring the concerned looks from my colleagues. I drove home in a daze, my mind replaying the scene over and over again. By the time I reached our house, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't continue working at Richardson Co. I couldn't face Mr. Richardson every day, knowing what he had done. And as for Melissa, the woman I had loved and trusted for so many years, I couldn't even begin to fathom how to confront her about this. I spent the night on the couch, unable to sleep, my mind consumed by thoughts of betrayal. When Melissa finally came home, hours later, she found me in the living room, a suitcase by my side. Her eyes widened in surprise, then confusion. "Lucas, what's going on?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. I looked at her, my heart heavy with the weight of what I had seen. "I know, Melissa. I know about you and Mr. Richardson." Her face went pale, and for a moment, she looked like she might faint. "Lucas, I can explain, but I didn't want to hear it. Not then, not ever." I couldn't listen to her lies, her excuses. I stood up, grabbed my suitcase, and walked out the door, leaving behind 15 years of marriage, their trust and love. I had no idea where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay there. That night marked the beginning of my descent into darkness. Quit my job the next morning, sending a terse email to Mr. Richardson and HR. I packed up my belongings, left my home, and plunged into the nightlife of the city, seeking solace in the shadows and losing myself in the chaos of bars and clubs. Little did I know, my journey was only just beginning. And amidst the turmoil, someone unexpected was about to enter my life, turning everything upside down once more. In the weeks following my departure from the world I once knew, I found myself adrift in a sea of neon lights and endless night. The city's nightlife became my escape, a place where I could drown my sorrows in a haze of alcohol and lose myself in the pulsating beats of music. Each evening, I would venture into a different club or bar, seeking temporary relief from the pain that gnawed at my heart. It was in one of these dimly lit establishments that I first laid eyes on her. The club was packed, bodies moving rhythmically to the thumping bass, and the air was thick with the scent of sweat and alcohol. I sat at the bar, nursing my third whiskey of the night when she walked in. Her entrance was impossible to miss. She moved with a confidence that commanded attention. Her name was Mia. She had an aura about her, a magnetism that drew people in. With her striking features and piercing blue eyes, she was the kind of woman who could stop traffic. As she approached the bar, our eyes met for a brief moment, and I felt a spark of something I hadn't felt in weeks. Curiosity. Mia slid onto the bar stool next to mine and ordered a drink. For a few minutes we sat in silence, the only communication between us being the occasional glance. Couldn't help but wonder what had brought her to this place, what stories lay hidden behind those mesmerizing eyes. Finally, she turned to me, playful smile tugging at her lips. "You look like you've had a rough night." I let out a bitter laugh. "You have no idea." "Care to share?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Sometimes it helps to talk about it." I hesitated. I hadn't talked to anyone about what had happened. Not my friends, not my family. But there was something about Mia, a sense of understanding in her gaze that made me want to open up. "My wife," I began, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "She was having an affair with my boss." Mia's expression softened. "I'm sorry, that must have been devastating." I nodded, taking a sip of my drink. I quit my job, left home, and now, well, here I am, trying to forget. "Trying to forget, huh?" Mia said, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Well, you've come to the right place, but you should know, running away never really solves anything." Her words hit home, but I wasn't ready to face that truth just yet. "What about you?" I asked, eager to shift the focus away from my misery. "What brings you here?" Mia's eyes darkened momentarily, a shadow passing over her features. "Everyone has their own demons," she said cryptically. "Let's just say I'm looking for an escape too." We spent the rest of the night talking, conversation flowing easily despite the noise and chaos around us. Mia was a mystery, a woman with layers that intrigued me. She listened without judgment, offering comfort in her own unique way. By the time the club closed, I felt a strange sense of connection to her, a bond forged in the fires of shared pain. Our encounters became a regular occurrence. Every night, I would find Mia at one of the city's many bars or clubs, and we would lose ourselves in the revelry. She introduced me to a side of the city I had never known, a world of underground parties, secret gatherings, and hidden speakeasies. With Mia, every night was an adventure, a chance to forget the past and live in the moment. But as the nights turned into weeks, I began to realize that my feelings for Mia were growing deeper. She was more than just a distraction. She was a lifeline, pulling me out of the abyss I had fallen into. I found myself looking forward to our time together, craving her presence in a way I hadn't expected. One night, as we walked along the deserted streets after leaving a particularly wild party, I couldn't hold back any longer. "Mia," I said, stopping in my tracks and turning to face her. "I need to know, what is this between us? Are we just two lost souls trying to forget, or is there something more?" Mia looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and affection. "Lucas, you've become important to me," she admitted, "but we're both still healing. We can't rush into anything without facing our pasts first." Her words were a sobering reminder of the mess I had left behind. I still had unresolved feelings about Melissa, and Mia's past was a mystery I had yet to uncover. But despite the uncertainty, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to heal together. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of purpose. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but with Mia by my side, I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Our journey was far from over, and as the dawn broke over the city, I knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in my life. As days turned into weeks, my nights with Mia became the highlight of my otherwise bleak existence. We delved deeper into the city's underbelly, exploring hidden gems and secret corners that most people never knew existed. With Mia, I found a sense of freedom, temporary escape from the ghosts of my past. Yet, no matter how hard I tried, those ghosts still followed me, whispering reminders of the betrayal that had shattered my life. One evening, as we sat in a quiet rooftop bar overlooking the city, Mia turned to me, her expression thoughtful. "Lucas, we've been running from our pasts for a while now, but maybe it's time we face them." Her words struck a chord. I knew she was right, but the thought of confronting Melissa, of reopening old wounds, was daunting. "What about you?" I countered, my gaze searching hers. What are you running from, Mia? She looked away, eyes distant. There are things I'm not ready to talk about, but I know that running won't solve anything. We need to find closure, both of us. The next few days were filled with an uneasy tension. Mia's words had stirred something within me, a restless need to confront my past. I knew that to move forward, I had to face Melissa and the betrayal that had broken my heart. But I wasn't sure if I was ready. One night, unable to sleep, I found myself wandering the streets. My thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. I ended up at a familiar location, the office building where Richardson, my former boss, and Melissa's lover worked. The place was closed, dark and silent, but just standing there brought a flood of memories crashing down on me. As I stood there, lost in thought, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mia. Where are you? I need to see you. I replied with my location, and within minutes, Mia appeared. She walked up to me, concern etched on her face. Lucas, what's going on? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I can't keep running, Mia. I need to confront Melissa. Get some answers. I need closure. Mia nodded, her expression supportive. I'll be with you every step of the way. You don't have to do this alone. With Mia by my side, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The next day, I decided it was time to confront Melissa. I arranged to meet her at a cafe we used to frequent, a neutral ground where I hoped we could talk without things getting too heated. When I arrived, Melissa was already there, looking nervous. Seeing her again brought a rush of conflicting emotions, anger, hurt, but also a lingering sense of love. Despite everything, she had been my wife for many years, and part of me still cared for her. Lucas, she greeted me, her voice tentative. Thank you for meeting me. I nodded, taking a seat across from her. We need to talk, Melissa. I need to understand why you did what you did. She looked down, guilt and sadness etched on her face. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. Richardson and we were close because of the office. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was in too deep. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. Why did you let it go on for so long? Tears welled up in her eyes. I was afraid of losing you, of breaking up our family. I thought I could keep it a secret, that it wouldn't matter. But I was wrong. I betrayed you, and I'll never forgive myself for that. Her words hit me hard. They also brought a sense of clarity. I realized that while I could never forget the betrayal, I needed to let go of the anger and pain if I ever wanted to move on. Melissa, I'm not sure I can forgive you, but I can't keep holding on to this anger either. We both need to move forward, for Aaron's sake. She nodded, wiping away her tears. You're right. We need to do what's best for him. I understand if you never want to see me again, but please know that I am truly sorry. With that, I stood up, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Take care of yourself, Melissa, and take care of Aaron. Leaving the cafe, I felt a sense of closure. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was a step towards healing. When I told Mia about the encounter, she smiled, eyes filled with pride. I knew you could do it, Lucas. You're stronger than you think. As the weeks passed, Mia and I grew even closer. Our bond deepened, forged in the fires of shared pain and mutual support. Yet just when I thought things were finally settling down, life threw another curveball our way. An unexpected reunion that would change everything. Life had started to settle into a new rhythm with Mia. The chaos of the past seemed to be fading into the background, placed by moments of genuine happiness and burgeoning love. Yet, as often happens, just when things seemed to be going right, an unexpected twist was thrown our way. It was a crisp autumn evening when Mia and I decided to attend an art gallery opening downtown. It was a charity event, and I thought it would be a good distraction from the recent turmoil. As we walked through the gallery, admiring the various pieces, I felt a sense of calm. The vibrant colors and intricate designs seemed to mirror the complexity of our journey. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a familiar face. It was Richardson. He was standing by a large abstract painting, talking animatedly with a group of people. My heart raced, and I felt Mia's hand tighten around mine. What's wrong? She asked, following my gaze. It's him, I whispered, my voice tense. Richardson. Mia's eyes widened. What do you want to do? I took a deep breath, my mind racing. Confronting him here seemed like a bad idea, but I couldn't just ignore him either. Let's just keep walking, I said, trying to stay calm. Maybe he won't notice us. We continued to move through the gallery, but my mind was no longer on the art. I couldn't shake the feeling that Richardson's presence was more than just a coincidence. As we neared the exit, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Lucas? It was Richardson. His expression was one of surprise mixed with a hint of unease. I didn't expect to see you here. Richardson, I replied, my voice cold. I could say the same. He looked between me and Mia, who was standing close by, her expression wary. I suppose you've heard everything by now. I have, I said, struggling to keep my emotions in check. What do you want? Richardson sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I came here to get away, to clear my head. After everything that happened, I needed some space. His words struck a chord. Despite everything, I knew what it felt like to need an escape. But that didn't mean I was ready to forgive or forget. I'm not interested in your excuses, Richardson. Just stay away from me and my family. He nodded, his expression serious. I understand, but there's something you should know. Mia and I exchanged a glance. What is it? I asked, my curiosity piqued despite myself. There's a reason I ended things with Melissa, he began, his voice low. I found out something that changed everything. As much as I didn't want to hear it, I knew I needed to. Go on, I said, my tone guarded. Richardson hesitated before continuing. Melissa wasn't just seeing me. She was involved with someone else too. I couldn't handle the betrayal, so I ended things. But she might still be in contact with this other person. I thought you should know. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. Another betrayal? The idea that Melissa had been cheating on both of us was almost too much to bear. Why are you telling me this now? I asked, my voice tight with anger and confusion. Because you deserve to know the truth, Richardson replied, his expression sincere. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I thought you should be aware. I stared at him, trying to process this new information. It was like a bad dream that I couldn't wake up from. Thank you for telling me, I said finally, my voice hollow. But this doesn't change anything between us. He nodded, accepting my words. I understand. Take care, Lucas. As he walked away, I felt Mia's hand slip into mine. Are you okay? She asked, her voice filled with concern. I don't know, I admitted, feeling overwhelmed. I just don't know. Over the next few days, I tried to make sense of what Richardson had told me. The idea that Melissa had been involved with yet another man was both infuriating and heartbreaking. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers. But a part of me was too exhausted to face another confrontation. Mia was a constant source of support, presence a calming influence in the midst of the storm. We'll get through this, she said one night as we lay in bed. No matter what happens, we have each other. Her words were a balm to my troubled mind, but the doubts and questions still lingered. I knew I couldn't move forward until I had all the answers. The next morning, I decided it was time to confront Melissa one last time. I called her and arranged to meet at a park near our old home. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting on a bench. She looked up as I approached, her expression wary. Lucas, she greeted me, her voice tentative. What's going on? I need to know the truth, Melissa, I said, sitting down beside her. All of it. She looked away, guilt and sadness etched on her face. I told you everything, she began, but I cut her off. No, you didn't, I said, my voice firm. I know about the other man, Melissa. Richardson told me everything. Her eyes widened in shock. What? How did he? Doesn't matter how. Interrupted. I need to know the truth. Who was the other man? She took a deep breath, tears filling her eyes. His name is Nathan. He's a colleague from work. It started as just a fling, but then things got complicated. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. Why did you keep lying? I was scared, Lucas, she admitted, voice shaking. I didn't want to lose you, but I didn't know how to end things with them. I was trapped. Her confession was like a knife to my heart, but it also brought a sense of clarity. I realized that while I might never fully understand her actions, I needed to find a way to move on. Melissa, I don't know if I can ever forgive you, but I need to try to move forward for my own sake. She nodded, wiping away her tears. I understand. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I truly am. As I walked away from the park, I felt a sense of closure. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a step towards healing. With Mia by my side, I knew I could face whatever came next. and as the days turned into weeks, we began to build a new life together. One filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. The days that followed were a blur of emotions. Leaving the corporate world and the life I once knew felt like stepping into an abyss. Mia was my anchor, always there to remind me that we could build something new from the wreckage. We decided to start afresh, moving to a quieter part of town where the hustle and bustle of our old lives seemed like a distant memory. One evening, we went out for dinner to a cozy little restaurant that had just opened nearby. The ambiance was perfect, soft lighting, gentle music, and the promise of a peaceful night. As we sat down, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. It was as if, for the first time in weeks, I could finally breathe. "Mia, I know it hasn't been easy," I said, taking her hand. "But I want you to know that I'm committed to making this work. For us." She smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. "I believe in us, Lucas. We've come this far, and we're only going to get stronger." Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of our food, and we spent the next hour talking about everything and nothing. Felt good to focus on the present, to enjoy each other's company without the shadows of the past looming over us. As we were finishing our meal, a woman walked into the restaurant. She had an air of confidence about her, with striking features and an aura that commanded attention. She glanced around the room before her eyes settled on us. I felt a jolt of recognition. It was Jessica, an old friend from high school who had moved away years ago. "Lucas, is that really you?" he exclaimed, making her way to our table. "Jessica, what a surprise," I said, standing up to greet her. Mia looked curious as she stood beside me. "Mia, this is Jessica, an old friend from high school." "Jessica, this is my girlfriend, Mia." Jessica extended her hand with a warm smile. "So nice to meet you, Mia." As we caught up, Jessica shared that she had recently moved back to town to start a new job. It was nice to reconnect with someone from the past, and it brought back a flood of memories. "Do you remember those crazy parties we used to have?" Jessica laughed. "I do," replied, grinning. "Those were the days." Mia listened with interest, and I could see that she enjoyed hearing about my past. It was a reminder that life had been good before everything went south, and it could be good again. After Jessica left, Mia and I decided to take a walk by the river. Cool breeze and the sound of the water were soothing, and I felt a sense of peace that had been elusive for a long time. "You know, it's nice to see you smile again," Mia said, squeezing my hand. "Feels good," I admitted. "I think we're going to be okay." We spent the next few weeks settling into our new routine. Mia started a small business, something she had always dreamed of, and I began exploring new job opportunities. Wasn't easy, but we were determined to build a life together. One day, I received an unexpected call from Richardson. His voice was subdued, far cry from the confident man I had once known. "Lucas, I need to talk to you," he said. I felt a pang of unease. "What is it?" "Can we meet? There are some things I need to clear up." Reluctantly, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop downtown, and as I sat across from him, I could see the strain on his face. "I owe you an apology," he began. "For everything. I made a lot of mistakes, and I've paid a heavy price for them." I listened, my emotions a mix of anger and pity. "Why now, Richardson?" "Because I've lost everything," he admitted. "My job, my reputation, and most importantly, my family. Melissa left me, and I've been trying to pick up the pieces ever since." Hearing Melissa's name brought a rush of memories. She had been a part of my life for so long, and despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for her. "She asked me to give you this," Richardson said, handing me a letter. "It's from Melissa. She wanted you to have it." I took the letter, my hands trembling. "Thank you." As he left, I felt a strange sense of closure. The past was finally behind me, and it was time to focus on the future. When I got home, Mia was waiting for me. "How did it go?" she asked. "It was unexpected," I replied, handing her the letter. "It's from Melissa." We sat down together and read the letter. It was filled with apologies and regrets, but also a sense of hope for the future. Melissa expressed her desire for me to find happiness and peace, something she knew I deserved. As I finished reading, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. It was time to let go of the past and embrace the future. With Mia by my side, I knew that anything was possible. We had been through so much, but our love and determination had seen us through. Together we would build a new life, one filled with hope, joy, endless possibility. And as we stood together, hand in hand, I knew that the best was yet to come. Life with Mia had become a blend of passion and uncertainty. Our connection was undeniable, but beneath the surface, I sensed there was more to her than she had let on. One evening, as we were sharing a quiet dinner at her apartment, Mia seemed unusually distant. "Mia, is everything okay?" I asked, reaching for her hand across the table. She hesitated, her eyes avoiding mine. "Lucas, there's something I need to tell you. It's been weighing on me, and I can't keep it from you any longer." My heart pounded as I braced myself for what she was about to reveal. "You can tell me anything," I reassured her. Taking a deep breath, Mia began to speak. "Before I moved here, I was involved in something complicated. Something I never wanted to drag you into, but it seems I can't escape it." My curiosity was piqued. "What do you mean? What happened?" Mia looked down, fingers nervously tracing patterns on the tablecloth. "I was in a relationship with a man named Ryan. He was charming and exciting, but he had a dark side. I found out he was involved in illegal activities, money laundering. When I tried to leave him, he threatened me. I felt a chill run down my spine. And he's still after you?" She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I thought I could escape by moving here, starting over. But I recently received a message from him. He knows where I am, and he's coming for me." The weight of her confession hung in the air between us. I reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Mia, you don't have to face this alone. We'll figure this out together." She looked at me, a mixture of fear and gratitude in her eyes. "I don't want to drag you into my mess, Lucas. You're not dragging me anywhere," I insisted. "We're in this together. We'll find a way to deal with Ryan and keep you safe." Over the next few days, Mia and I worked together to come up with a plan. We contacted the authorities and provided them with all the information we had about Ryan and his activities. The police assured us they would investigate and take action, protect Mia. In the meantime, I stayed by Mia's side, determined to keep her safe. Our bond grew stronger as we faced this new challenge together. Despite the danger looming over us, we found solace in each other's company. One evening, as we sat on the couch, Mia resting her head on my shoulder, she whispered, "Lucas, I don't know what I would do without you." I kissed the top of her head, holding her close. "We'll get through this, Mia, I promise." Just as we were beginning to feel a sense of security, a knock on the door shattered the calm. Mia tensed up, her eyes wide with fear. "Stay here," I whispered, getting up to answer the door. My heart raced as I approached, unsure of who or what awaited us on the other side. I opened the door to find a man standing there, his face partially obscured by the shadows. "Lucas Johnson?" he asked. "Yes, that's me," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm Detective Harris," the man said, flashing his badge. "I have some updates on the case involving Mia." I stepped aside to let him in, relief flooding through me. "Come in, Detective." Mia joined us in the living room, her expression a mix of hope and anxiety. "What news do you have?" Detective Harris sat down, his demeanor serious. "We've been monitoring Ryan's movements. It seems he's aware that we're onto him and he's trying to cover his tracks. However, we've managed to gather enough evidence to issue a warrant for his arrest." Mia's face lit up with a glimmer of hope. "Does that mean?" "Yes," Harris confirmed. "With any luck, we'll have him in custody soon. But until then, I recommend you both remain vigilant and take extra precautions." We thanked the detective for his efforts, and after he left, Mia and I held each other tightly. The fear that had gripped us began to loosen its hold, replaced by a cautious optimism. As the days passed, we continued to support each other, our bond growing ever stronger. The looming threat of Ryan's return served as a constant reminder of the fragility of our situation, but it also reinforced our determination to stay united. One afternoon, as Mia and I were enjoying a quiet moment in the park, she turned to me with a smile. "Lucas, I've been thinking. Once this is all over, once Ryan is out of our lives for good, I want us to start fresh. A new beginning, just you and me." I smiled back at her, feeling a renewed sense of hope. "I'd like that too, Mia. New beginning sounds perfect." And as we sat there hand in hand, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, stronger than ever before. With Ryan's arrest and the subsequent legal proceedings, a weight was lifted off our shoulders. Mia and I finally had the chance to breathe, to focus on building a future together without the shadows of the past looming over us. We decided to move to a new city, far from the memories of our old lives. It was a place where we could start anew, free from the ghosts that had haunted us. The excitement of a fresh beginning filled us with hope and anticipation. Our new home was a charming apartment in a vibrant neighborhood. As we unpacked our belongings, we talked about our dreams and aspirations. Mia wanted to open her own art gallery, while I considered starting a small business. Possibilities seemed endless. One evening, as we sat on our balcony watching the sunset, Mia took my hand. "Lucas, I can't thank you enough for standing by me through everything. I love you more than words can express." I squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of emotion. "I love you too, Mia, and I believe in us. We're stronger together." Life began to settle into a pleasant routine. Mia's art gallery quickly gained popularity, and my business venture started to take off. We made new friends and immersed ourselves in the community. Future looked bright, and for the first time in a long time, we felt truly at peace. But as the saying goes, life is full of surprises. One evening, as Mia and I were walking through the park, we ran into a familiar face, Ryan. He had been released on bail, and the sight of him sent a chill down our spines. Well, if it isn't my favorite couple," Ryan sneered, his eyes filled with malice. Mia clung to my arm, her fear palpable. "What do you want, Ryan?" He smirked, taking a step closer. "Just wanted to remind you that I'm still around. Enjoy your little fairy tale while it lasts." With that, he walked away, leaving us both shaken. The encounter served as a stark reminder that the past was never truly behind us. But as we held each other close, we vowed not to let fear dictate our lives. In the weeks that followed, we took extra precautions to ensure our safety. We installed security systems, stayed vigilant, and leaned on each other for support. The threat of Ryan's return loomed over us, but it also strengthened our resolve to protect our newfound happiness. One afternoon, as we were setting up for an art exhibit at Mia's gallery, she turned to me with a determined look. "Lucas, no matter what happens, I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. We'll face whatever comes our way together." I smiled, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I feel the same way, Mia. Together, we can overcome anything." As the months passed, Ryan's presence faded into the background. He was eventually apprehended again, and this time the legal system ensured he would be behind bars for a long time. The relief was palpable, and we finally felt free to move forward without looking over our shoulders. Mia's gallery flourished, attracting art enthusiasts from all over the city. My business grew, and we continued to build a life filled with love and laughter. The challenges we had faced only served to strengthen our bond, and we knew that whatever the future held, we would face it together. One evening, as we sat on our balcony, watching the stars twinkle above, Mia turned to me with a contented smile. "Lucas, do you ever wonder what the future holds for us?" I looked into her eyes, filled with love and certainty. "I know that whatever it is, we'll face it together. And that's all that matters." As we embraced under the starlit sky, I felt a deep sense of peace. Our journey had been tumultuous, but it had also been filled with moments of profound love and connection. And as we looked toward the future, I knew that our story was just beginning.